You've tried before, you've started goals, you've made plans, but deep down you know what's missing. It's not motivation, it's not luck, it's not talent, it's the ability to build success that actually lasts, real success, the kind that grows because you're doing the right things daily, not just once in a while. This isn't about pushing harder, it's about getting real with yourself. Are you using your time wisely? Are you showing up when no one's watching? Are you avoiding the small habits that hold you back? That's what this is about. Fixing what most people ignore. Because if you want to multiply your success, you need a system that works in real life. You need to track your actions, focus your energy, build your routines, and stop making excuses. This video will show you exactly how. No fluff, no pressure. Just the truth you've needed to hear, spoken simply, clearly, and with purpose. This is the proven way to multiply your success. Chapter 1. Set real goals that actually mean something to you. You want to multiply your success? Then you start by doing something most people never do. You sit down with yourself, quietly, and you ask a very serious question. What do I really want from my life? Not what sounds good, not what others expect, not what's popular. I mean, what do you want? What means something to you? That's how you set a real goal. That's the beginning of every breakthrough. Success doesn't come to people who chase random goals that don't match their heart. It comes to people who decide clearly, with feeling, with honesty. When the goal matters to you, you'll do the work. You'll make the sacrifices. You'll stay up late and get up early. You'll show up when it's hard, not just when it's easy. But if the goal doesn't truly matter to you, if it doesn't carry any weight in your soul, you'll quit the second life gets uncomfortable. So think about this. Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you trying to impress someone? Are you just going through the motions? Or are you building a life that reflects your values, your beliefs, your deepest priorities? Success without meaning is still failure. You see, people try to copy what successful people do, but they skip the part where that successful person chose something deeply personal. They picked a target that matched their vision, and that's what made all the work worth it. If your goal isn't personal, it won't be powerful. If your goal doesn't touch something inside you, your childhood dream, your sense of purpose, your future legacy, then you'll treat it casually, and casual efforts produce casual results. So you've got to decide, not guess, decide. You don't stumble into a life you're proud of. You build it on purpose. And purpose starts with clarity. That means you don't just say, I want to be rich, or I want to be successful. Those are vague. Those don't mean anything until you define what rich means to you, until you define what success looks like in your life. Maybe success for you is owning your own business. Maybe it's having time to raise your kids without stress. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's peace. But if you can't say it clearly, you can't build it. So write it down. Write what you want in real words, not slogans, not fluffy talk. Write the kind of life that would actually make you proud to wake up every day. Write what you'd work for even if it took years. That's how you find a real goal. And once you have that goal, once you know what means something to you, something shifts inside. You stop wasting time. You stop settling for distractions. You stop comparing your path to others. You start building. You start becoming. A man with a real goal walks differently, talks differently. He doesn't need motivation every morning. because the vision pulls him. A woman with a real goal doesn't need approval. She's too focused, too determined. That kind of clarity gives you power, and you don't have to figure out every step right now. You just need to get the starting point right. If the starting point is strong, if the goal is real, then you'll find the steps along the way. A lot of people think the problem is strategy. No, the problem is the goal has no soul. It's hollow. It's built on ego or fear or pressure. And that's why people burn out. That's why they procrastinate. That's why they quit. Not because they're lazy. Because the goal never felt right to begin with. Success multiplies when your goal and your values match, when what you're chasing lines up with who you are. That kind of goal gives you fire. It gives you energy that lasts. You won't be perfect every day, but you'll be consistent. And that's what wins. Consistency. Built on purpose. So here's the next piece. Once you set that real goal, stop hiding from it. Remind yourself every day. Put it where you can see it. Speak it out loud. Let it live in your actions. Don't keep it buried in a notebook. Live like it matters. Because it does. Your time is limited. Your life is real. Every day counts. You can't afford to keep chasing things that don't matter. You've got to care enough about your own life to take charge of it. That's how success multiplies. Not by luck, not by shortcuts, but by choosing the right direction and giving it your all. You're not too late. You're not too behind. You just have to get serious about what you truly want, and once you do, the momentum will start. One good day leads to another. One clear goal leads to better choices, and better choices create a better life. But it all begins with that decision. Set a real goal that actually means something to you. Not tomorrow. Now. Not when things are perfect. Now. Not when others agree. Now. Because you don't need permission to want more. You need clarity. You need direction. You need to stop drifting and start building. And I promise you, when the goal is right and the purpose is strong, you'll be shocked at what you're capable of. You'll push through things you thought would break you. You'll outlast people with more talent. You'll make progress that finally sticks, not because you're special, but because you finally got honest with yourself. You finally said, "This is what I want, and I'm willing to work for it." That's where real success begins. And once it begins, it doesn't stop. It grows, it expands, it multiplies. Because when you live with purpose, effort becomes natural, sacrifice becomes normal, and results become real. So if you're serious about changing your life, you start with this. Set a goal that comes from your heart, not your head, not your fear, not your past, from your heart. That's the proven way to multiply your success. Chapter 2. Take one small step forward every single day. Most people wait for the perfect moment. They wait for the motivation to hit them, for the plan to be crystal clear, for the fear to disappear. But that moment rarely comes. Life doesn't wait, time doesn't pause, and growth never happens in waiting. Success begins when you move, not with a big leap, not with everything figured out. It starts when you take one small step. That's how everything changes. You don't have to change your entire life in a day. You don't need to figure out the next 5 years. What you need is to take one real step forward. Something simple, something small, but something you know you need to do. Maybe it's making that phone call. Maybe it's writing that first page. Maybe it's turning off distractions and showing up fully for 1 hour. That's how the climb begins, step by step, not all at once. If you study people who achieve anything meaningful, you'll notice something. They don't always move fast, but they do move every single day. They're not waiting for inspiration to show up. They've built the habit of forward motion. Even when it's quiet, even when no one's clapping, even when no one notices, they keep stepping. One small step may not look like much. It may feel like it doesn't matter, but that's not true. Because action builds clarity. Action creates momentum. And when you take that small step, something inside you shifts. You stop being a person who just thinks about change and becomes someone who's creating it. That changes your identity. That changes your mindset. And once your mindset changes, your behavior follows. The mistake is thinking that only big moves count, that if it's not dramatic, it's not progress. But the truth is, real success is built on small, repeated actions. The big moments everyone sees are built on thousands of small ones that no one talks about. That one early morning when you didn't hit snooze. That one workout when you didn't feel like it. That one moment where you chose focus over distraction. They don't seem loud, but they build something strong. Most people try to change their whole life in one shot. They get excited, they make a list, they promise everything will be different, and then they crash. Because big change without small habits never lasts. It burns out. It's not sustainable. But when you focus on doing one thing every day that moves you forward, you build something that sticks. You train your brain to act. You teach your body to move, even without motivation. That's discipline. That's how people win long term. You don't need 100 new habits. You don't need to read 10 books before you start. You need to move. Today, with what you have, where you are, because progress lives in action, not in planning. You can think about it for years, or you can act on it now. The person who takes small steps consistently will always beat the one who plans big, but never moves. And the power of small steps is they are doable, they're not overwhelming, you don't talk yourself out of them, and when you complete one, you feel a sense of progress. That feeling builds confidence, and when your confidence grows, so does your belief. Suddenly the future doesn't feel so far away, because now you've proved you can do something about it. You don't climb a mountain by jumping. You climb it by putting one foot in front of the other. You don't write a book in one sitting. You write one paragraph, one page, one section. You don't become successful over. You show up, you build, you fail, you learn, and you keep stepping. That's how the foundation grows. That's how the path appears. Even when the step feels boring, even when it feels too small to matter, even when your mind tells you it's not enough, that's the moment where character is built. The people who succeed keep going anyway. They understand that small daily action beats occasional bursts of effort every time. You don't need to rush. You don't need to compare. You just need to decide what one thing you will do today that your future self will thank you for. Not 10 things, one. And then do it again tomorrow and the next day. That's not just about success. That's about becoming reliable to yourself, trusting yourself, knowing that you show up when it counts. That's how inner strength is built. And when setbacks come, and they will, you'll already be trained to move forward, because you've built that habit, that instinct. You won't be stuck overthinking. You won't freeze up in fear. You'll know how to act even in hard seasons. That habit of daily steps will carry you through days when you feel low, when you feel stuck, when you feel lost. That's why this matters. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. And success doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for progress. It asks if you're better than you were yesterday. It asks if you made a choice today that builds the life you want. And the answer to that is always found in your actions, not your dreams, not your hopes, your actions. So ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that makes me stronger, that makes me smarter, that pushes me forward? And don't just think it, do it. Feel the difference when you move. Notice the pride that comes from action, that quiet confidence that grows when you follow through. The people who are respected are the ones who stayed consistent when no one was watching, who kept stepping when they didn't feel like it, who chose growth over comfort, not because it was easy, but because they decided they were worth it. And you are worth it. Your goals are worth the effort. Your future is worth the discipline. Your dreams are not too far if you're willing to meet them step by step. So stop putting it off. Stop waiting for the big moment. This is the moment, right now, today. Take one small step forward, one clear action, one task completed, one moment of discipline. And then, tomorrow, do it again. Before long, you'll look back and realize you're not the same person anymore. You've changed, not by accident, but on purpose. You became someone who moves, someone who grows, someone who wins. Not in a rush, not in a blur, but one strong step at a time. That's the proven way. And the best part? You can start right now. No excuses, no more waiting. Just start walking forward. Today. Chapter 3. Build a solid morning routine that drives progress. The way you start your morning sets the tone for everything that follows. If you roll out of bed late, already behind, rushing through the motions, it's hard to catch up. You feel off balance. Your thinking becomes reactive. You spend the rest of the day responding instead of creating. But if you begin your day with purpose, your focus sharpens, your energy rises. You step into the day with control instead of chaos. A solid morning routine isn't about perfection, it's about structure. It's about giving yourself a foundation before the world pulls at your time and energy. You're not just waking up to exist. You're waking up to grow. And that starts with how you approach the first hour of your day. When your mornings are weak, your life becomes scattered. You lose hours in distraction. You rely on luck. But when your mornings are strong, you create momentum. You make room for the things that matter. And that's what separates people who move forward from those who stay stuck. You don't need a complicated routine. You need a consistent one. One that reminds you who you are and what you're building. One that pulls your mind into the right state before the noise begins. You need time with yourself before the world gets access to you. This might mean waking up earlier, not to impress anyone, but to claim that quiet space, to breathe, to think, to move. Those first few minutes, they belong to you, and what you do with them can completely shift how the rest of your day goes. Start by getting out of bed when you said you would. That one action trains your brain to follow through. You said you'd wake up, and you did. That's the first win of the day. From there, move your body. It doesn't have to be extreme. Stretch, walk, breathe. Remind yourself you're alive and capable. Then give your mind something good. Read something that challenges you. Write down your goals. Speak out loud what you're working toward. It doesn't have to be loud, it has to be real. Remind yourself why you're showing up today. Not for the paycheck, not for the likes, but for the person you're becoming. This kind of routine doesn't make you successful overnight, but it does make you consistent. And consistency is what builds character. Anyone can work hard when they feel like it, but the people who succeed don't leave their days to chance. They take ownership of the start. And what happens when you start your day on purpose? You stop reacting, you begin leading. You stop checking your phone first thing and start checking in with yourself. You stop wasting your mornings and start multiplying your progress. The most successful people you'll ever meet don't stumble into their mornings. They design them. They protect them. Because they understand that once the day begins, demands will come, challenges will appear. But if they've already invested in themselves, they're stronger, they're centered, they're not shaken by every problem. They have direction, and when your routine becomes a habit, it stops feeling forced. It becomes who you are, the person who shows up early, the person who plans their day, the person who invests in their body and mind. That identity shift creates deeper commitment, and deeper commitment creates better results. You don't need to copy someone else's morning. You need to build one that fits your goals. Ask yourself, what activities make you stronger? What thoughts get you grounded? What actions help you feel prepared and confident? Then start with that. It could be 20 minutes or an hour. The time isn't the key. The intention is. It's about moving from passive to active, from waiting to leading, and that shift creates progress. Not all at once, but day by day. And here's the truth. The way you treat your morning is the way you treat your life. If you begin your day carelessly, your results will reflect that. But if you begin with focus, clarity, and movement, you carry that mindset into everything else. It doesn't matter how busy you are. It matters what you prioritize. And if your own growth is not part of your morning, you're setting yourself up to repeat the same cycle. Same thoughts, same reactions, same outcomes. But when you commit to a routine that builds you up, you start noticing changes. You become more organized. You feel calmer in stressful moments. You make better choices. You stop chasing balance and start creating it. Every strong day starts with a strong decision. And that decision happens in the morning. That's when most people either take control or lose it. If you check social media before you check your own mind, you're already letting outside voices shape your thinking. If you rush into tasks without setting your intention, you spend your day reacting to other people's agendas. But when you wake up and start with purpose, you take the lead. You set the tone. You give yourself power. And that's not just motivation, it's strategy. It's what helps you multiply progress over time. Success isn't just about the big goals. It's about what you do before the world is watching. It's about the time when no one sees you but you show up anyway. That's where the real work begins. In silence, in simplicity, in routine. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. You need to show up for yourself before anything else. That's the difference between people who move forward and people who keep restart. And if you miss a day, You don't beat yourself up. You learn. You adjust. You get back to it. The goal is not to be flawless. The goal is to be committed. When you begin the day right, it's easier to win the rest of it. Your choices improve. Your reactions change. You stay grounded when pressure rises, because you already invested in yourself that morning. You already reminded yourself what matters. You already moved your body and focused your mind. You're not just going through life, you're designing it. And it all starts with the first hour, not with big speeches, not with perfect plans, just a routine that helps you grow. Start small. Be honest with yourself. Keep it simple. And make it non-negotiable. Do it enough times and it becomes automatic. You'll stop questioning whether you feel like it. You'll just do it. Because it's part of you now. And when it becomes part of you, everything else becomes easier. You'll have more energy. You'll feel more in control. You'll get more done with less stress. Because the way you began the day made you strong enough to handle it. So no more excuses. No more random mornings. Take back that first hour. Protect it. Use it. Make it matter. Because if you can own your morning, you can own your life. And if you build a morning routine that pushes you forward, you'll multiply your progress faster than you ever imagined.
Chapter 4. Finish what you start, no matter how hard. Starting is easy. It's exciting. It feels like a fresh beginning. The energy is high, the mind is full of ideas, and for a moment you believe change is coming fast. But success isn't about what you begin. It's about what you follow through on. It's about finishing. Finishing builds character. Finishing creates results. Finishing is the difference between those who wish and those who win. When you start something and stop halfway, you teach yourself to quit. You build the habit of walking away when things feel uncomfortable or slow. And the more often you do that, the easier it becomes to justify. You'll tell yourself it wasn't the right time, or it wasn't meant to be. But deep down, there's a part of you that knows you left something incomplete. That part starts losing trust in your own word. It stops believing in your potential. The truth is, everything worth doing gets hard. You can't build anything real without struggle. Whether it's a project, a goal, a habit, or a relationship, at some point it will challenge you. That's the test, not just of skill, but of your will. Do you keep going when you lose motivation? Do you stay focused when the results aren't fast? Can you keep working when no one notices? Most people can't. That's why finishing makes you rare. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the most talented. But you do need to be someone who doesn't back down when things get tough. That's the kind of person who builds a strong life. Not because every step is easy, but because they refuse to quit. Quitting becomes a pattern. So does finishing. The more things you complete, the stronger you feel inside. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. And that belief changes how you approach everything. You stop starting and stopping. You stop overthinking. You start doing the work, and you stick with it. Finishing what you start means showing up even when your feelings say no. It means doing the last 10% with the same energy you had at the beginning. That last stretch, the part most people skip, is where your growth lives. That's where you separate yourself from the average. And it's not about pushing through everything without rest. It's about refusing to give up on something just because it's uncomfortable. There's a difference between being tired and being done. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to slow down. But don't stop. Don't throw away what you've already put time into just because you're hitting resistance. Resistance is part of the process. Think back to the things you've started and never finished. How many times did you begin with energy and then let life pull you away from it? How many unfinished goals still sit in your mind? Those things don't just disappear. They sit in the back of your thoughts, and they remind you of what you didn't become. But the good news is, you can change that pattern starting today. You can pick something meaningful and decide to see it through. No matter how long it takes, no matter how slow the progress. What matters is that you cross the line, that you train your mind to complete, not quit. It might take longer than you expected. It might feel like no one cares. But finishing is never about them. It's about who you become in the process. Every time you push through difficulty, you get tougher. Every time you complete a hard task, you build grit. And grit is what carries you when everything else feels uncertain. Discipline is what builds finishers, and discipline doesn't wait for motivation. It works when you're tired. It works when you're unsure. It works when you've got every excuse in the world to give up. But you don't. You stay in it. That's power. That's maturity. That's the mindset of someone who wins long term. You don't need to rush the process. Rushing leads to burnout. What you need is to stay committed. Stay steady. Focus on consistent action, even when it's not exciting. Because here's what happens when you push through those low-energy moments. You reach a new level of confidence. Not because everything went smoothly, but because you proved you can handle pressure. Success isn't about doing one big thing. It's about doing the right thing until it's done. And sometimes that means grinding when it feels pointless. Sometimes that means working through boredom. Sometimes that means saying no to distractions so you can finish something that matters. You won't always feel proud while you're in the process, but you'll always feel proud when it's complete. That feeling is worth every late night, every doubt, every hour of effort. Because now, you've built something real, and no one can take that from you. Finishing what you start builds your reputation with others, and more importantly, with yourself. People begin to trust you. They know you don't quit. They know you don't just talk. You deliver. And inside, you begin to carry a quiet strength. You don't need applause. You don't need someone watching. You just need to keep your word to yourself. That's what this chapter of your life demands. Not flashy effort, not perfection, just follow through. Do the work, end what you began. Whether it's your health, your business, your mindset, stay the course. Even when it's slow, even when it's silent, even when you feel like giving up. Because the moment you finish, everything changes. You see proof that you're capable. You have results you can build on. And most of all, you've trained yourself to become a finisher. So if you're in the middle of something hard right now, keep going. Don't measure your success by how easy it feels. Measure it by how committed you stay. Keep taking steps, even if they're small. Keep showing up, even if no one sees. Keep your head down and finish. One completed project is worth more than 10 half-done ideas. One fulfilled goal gives you more confidence than endless daydreams. And one moment of follow-through can shift your identity forever. There will always be something trying to pull you off track. Distractions, doubts, delays. But none of that can stop you unless you let it. So don't. Stay locked in. Stay responsible. Stay focused. Because when you learn to finish what you start, you become unstoppable. You stop living in cycles of excitement and burnout. You stop chasing quick wins and start building a real future. You stop proving things to others and start proving things to yourself. And that's what multiplies your success. Not talent, not luck, not charm, but relentless consistency. The decision to keep going, the courage to keep moving, the discipline to follow through, even when it's hard. So ask yourself right now, what do I need to finish? What have I started that deserves completion? And then commit. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait to feel ready. Start closing the gap. Start completing the task. And don't stop until it's done. Not because it's easy, not because you feel like it, but because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the future you're building. And the only way you'll ever get there is to finish what you started. Chapter 5. Show up daily, even when no one notices. Most people want the reward, but very few are willing to do the work when the world isn't watching. They show up when it's exciting. They put in the effort when it feels good. But the ones who truly grow, the ones who change their lives, are the ones who show up daily even when it's quiet, even when there's no applause, even when no one claps for them. Because they understand something that many never learn: real progress is built in private. The early hours, the late nights, the moments where you feel invisible, that's where character is built. That's where the foundation of every strong life is formed. Not on the stage, not in the spotlight, but in the silence. It's easy to show up when someone is cheering. It's easy to work hard when people are watching. But what do you do when no one notices? What do you do when no one says thank you? That's where most people disappear. That's where they back off. That's where they lose their drive. But if you want to multiply your success, you have to become the kind of person who stays consistent without needing attention. You can't wait for someone to tell you it matters. You have to believe it does. And that belief must come from within. The gym where no one's looking. The book you write that no one's read yet. The savings account you build quietly. The hard choices you make that nobody knows about. That's the real work. And it's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's what separates those who get results from those who only wish for them. There's a discipline that forms when you keep showing up without needing praise. You start to respect yourself in a different way. You start to feel stronger inside, not because someone else validated you, but because you know you're doing what's right. You know you're putting in the work. And that creates a kind of self-trust that can't be bought. Think about it. The most meaningful transformations in life are never instant. They're never created by one big moment. They're shaped over time by steady effort, by showing up when it's cold, when it's hard, when you're tired, when you feel like you're making no progress. That's when you're really growing. Even if the results haven't shown up yet, something inside you is changing. Most people quit in the early stages. They say things like, "It's not working," or "What's the point?" But the point is, you're becoming someone better every single time you act with discipline. Every time you show up when it's not easy. You build resilience. You build focus. You build identity. And over time that identity becomes stronger than any excuse. You don't need a crowd. You don't need a reward. You need the courage to be consistent, to keep going even when it's lonely, to trust that the effort you put in today will serve you later, even if no one sees it now. Because that's how success grows, slowly, quietly, steadily. And yes, there will be days when you wonder if it's worth it. Days when it feels like you're wasting your time. That's natural. But those are the exact days when it matters most. Because anyone can be committed on the good days. What defines you is how you act on the hard ones. There's a strength that comes from pushing through those invisible moments. When you do the work in silence, and let the results speak later. You stop depending on motivation. You stop needing constant praise. You start relying on your own standards. And that's a powerful shift. It's not about being perfect. It's not about moving fast. It's about showing up daily, with discipline, with purpose, with quiet commitment. You might not always feel inspired. That's okay. You're not here to feel inspired. You're here to become consistent, to become someone others can't shake. Someone who follows through no matter how loud or quiet the room is. Because showing up every day, even when no one notices, is how you earn your own respect. That matters more than the respect of strangers. If you can trust yourself to show up, then you can trust yourself to win. And once you build that self-trust, nothing can stop you. Success doesn't come from people who start strong. It comes from people who stay strong. And staying strong means doing the work whether or not someone sees it, whether or not someone claps, whether or not someone says your name. The results will come, the progress will build, but it begins with the days you show up in silence. So think about how you've been showing up. Are you waiting to be seen before you act? Are you holding back your effort until someone validates it? Or are you building the kind of mindset that doesn't need recognition to keep going? The truth is, people may never see all the hours you've put in. They may never understand the discipline behind your success. And that's okay, because this journey isn't about showing off. It's about showing up. And those who stay the course quietly, faithfully, become unstoppable over time. There will always be noise around you. People doing things for attention. People chasing fast praise. But don't let that distract you. Stay focused on the work. Stay loyal to your path. Because while others are chasing applause, you're building a foundation that will last. Your consistency will carry you through seasons when your energy is low. It will carry you through moments when your emotions try to pull you off track. Because once you've built that habit of showing up daily, it becomes part of who you are. And when it becomes part of you, it doesn't matter who notices. What matters is that you're becoming more focused, more prepared, more resilient. That quiet effort will show itself when it matters most. Not always immediately, but always eventually. Don't wait to be seen to take action. Take action because you believe in the person you're becoming. Take action because your future depends on the steps you take now. Take action because your standards are higher than your feelings. This is how real success is multiplied. In private, in silence, in persistence, not in front of an audience, but in front of yourself. That's where the real reward is. That's where growth lives. That's where your strength is built, one day at a time. So wake up tomorrow and show up again. Not for the camera, not for the likes, but for your life, for your purpose, for your future. Keep showing up, especially when no one notices. Because when it's your time to shine, you'll be ready. You won't need to fake anything. You'll have earned it. Quietly, honestly, completely. Chapter 6. Take responsibility instead of making any more excuses. There comes a point in life where things won't move forward until you decide to stop blaming everything around you and start owning what's yours. Your choices, your time, your energy, your mistakes, your results. If you want to multiply your success, you have to take full responsibility. No more excuses, no more pointing fingers, no more waiting for something outside of you to change. The moment you do that, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop feeling stuck. You stop feeling like a victim. You stop giving your power away to people, to problems, or to your past. Excuses are comfortable. They make you feel better in the short term. They give you something or someone to blame, but they also keep you in the same place year after year. Nothing changes until you do. And change starts the moment you say, "This is on me." Not everything in life will be your fault, but the outcome, how you respond, how you grow from it, that will always be your responsibility. The truth is, your future doesn't care about your excuses. It only responds to your effort. You can argue for your limits, or you can outgrow them, but you can't do both. Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means taking ownership of your direction. It means saying, "I'm not going to wait around for luck or approval or the perfect moment. I'm going to work with what I have, and I'm going to build something better." People who grow are people who own their life. They don't wait for motivation. They don't need permission. They look at where they are and ask, "What can I do right now to improve this?" That question alone can change everything. It takes you out of helplessness and puts you back in control. You see, most people don't fail because they're not smart or capable. They fail because they keep making excuses for why things are the way they are. They say things like, "I don't have time," or "It's not the right moment," or "People don't support me." And they convince themselves that those are valid reasons to stay stuck. But they're not. They're distractions. There's always going to be something standing in your way. The key is to stop focusing on the obstacle and start focusing on your choices. Every excuse you use becomes a wall. Every responsibility you take becomes a door. You can either keep stacking walls or start opening doors. You can say, "I didn't have the right upbringing," or you can say, "I'm going to break the cycle." You can say, "No one taught me this," or you can say, "It's my job to learn now." You can say, "I've been through too much," or you can say, "What I've been through will not define me." That's responsibility. That's maturity. That's growth. And the moment you take responsibility, you get your power back. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You stop hoping that things will just magically get better. You stop relying on conditions, and you start building direction. That's how strong people are made. Not from comfort, but from accountability. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. You'll make wrong turns. That's life. But you still get to decide what happens next. You still get to take the next step. You still get to choose how you show up. Blame delays your future. Ownership activates it. When you hold yourself accountable, you get honest. You stop lying to yourself about what you're doing with your time. You stop pretending that one day you'll start when the truth is, you're just scared. You face the reality of your habits, your patterns, your attitude, and in that honesty, you gain clarity. And in that clarity, you find freedom. You start asking better questions. Instead of "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of "Who messed this up for me?" you ask, "What do I need to do better?" That shift in mindset changes everything, because now you're not reacting to life. You're shaping it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to stop hiding behind your circumstances and start facing your choices. That's where growth happens. That's where your mindset sharpens. That's where your results begin. It takes courage to take responsibility. It's easier to blame the economy, or your boss, or your past. But nothing gets better from that. Nothing changes unless you do. And the people who grow really grow are the ones who stop making excuses and start making changes. You might not be able to change where you started, but you can change where you're going. You might not control every event, but you can control your response. You can choose discipline over comfort. You can choose focus over distraction. You can choose action over waiting. That's what taking responsibility looks like. It's not flashy. It doesn't always feel good, but it works. You start doing the work that most people avoid. You start facing the parts of yourself that need to grow. And every day you take responsibility, you move a little closer to your best self. And the truth is, once you begin to live this way, you can't go back. You can't go back to the old stories. You can't keep blaming when you've tasted what it feels like to take control. That feeling, that pride of knowing you're responsible, it builds confidence. It builds strength. It builds momentum. You start to realize that everything you need is already inside you. You stop waiting to be rescued and start rescuing yourself. You stop hoping someone will come and fix things and start fixing what you can with what you have. That's how leaders are made. That's how champions think. So take a look at your life right now, not with judgment, but with honesty. Where are you making excuses? Where are you handing over your power? What parts of your life are still waiting on outside permission? And what would happen if, starting today, you took it all back? What would your day look like if you stopped blaming your schedule and started planning better? What would your health look like if you stopped blaming genetics and started taking care of yourself daily? What would your finances look like if you stopped blaming the system and started learning how to grow your income step by step? Every excuse you drop is a weight off your back. Every responsibility you take is a step forward. It's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about living in a way that's aligned with your potential. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for change, they create it. So no more waiting, no more stories, no more blame. From this point on, own your life. All of it. The good, the bad, the in-between. Because when you do, nothing can stop you from building the life you're truly capable of living. That's the path. That's the proven way to grow. That's how you multiply your success. Responsibility, not excuses. Ownership, not blame. Growth, not comfort. That's where your power is. That's where your future lives. And it all begins now. Chapter 7. Protect your focus from noise and useless things. One of the biggest reasons people don't grow is not because they don't have potential, it's because their focus is constantly under attack. There's too much noise, too many distractions, too many pointless things pulling their attention away from what actually matters. If you don't protect your focus, you will waste your energy on things that don't move your life forward. It doesn't matter how much talent you have or how big your dreams are. If your attention is scattered, your results will be scattered too. Focus is a skill, and like any skill, it needs to be trained. It needs to be guarded. In a world that's filled with constant stimulation and endless entertainment, you must become someone who can say no, not out of arrogance, but out of purpose. If your mind is always reacting to every message, every notification, every meaningless distraction, how do you expect to stay committed to something meaningful? You can't do deep work when your thoughts are constantly jumping from one thing to the next. The truth is, most people don't protect their focus because they've never learned how valuable it is. They treat their time and attention like it's cheap. They give it away to social media, to gossip, to negativity, to people who don't respect it. But your attention is your power. Whatever you give it to grows. If you give it to pointless scrolling, your distractions grow. If you give it to excuses, your doubts grow. If you give it to your vision, your life grows. You only get so many hours in a day, and once those hours are gone, you can't get them back. So you've got to decide what actually deserves your focus, and more importantly, what doesn't. You need to become aware of the habits that eat up your time without giving you anything back. Start tracking it. Where does your time actually go? Not where you think it goes, but where it really goes. How much of your day is spent on things that don't matter a week from now? The truth might be uncomfortable, but that's where change begins, because once you see it clearly, you can make better choices. You can stop letting the noise win. You can stop waking up and immediately reaching for your phone. You can stop letting other people's opinions decide what you focus on. You can start taking back control. And this isn't about being perfect. It's not about cutting off everything and living in isolation. It's about being intentional. It's about asking, is this helping me grow, or is this just wasting my energy? That question alone can eliminate so many distractions. You've got to learn how to create space. Mental space, emotional space, physical space. If your life is filled with constant noise, you will never be able to think clearly. You need quiet. You need stillness. You need time where your mind can reset and recharge. That's where real focus is built. Not in chaos, but in clarity. If you're always rushing, always reacting, always consumed by what's urgent, you'll miss what's important. You'll miss the bigger picture. You'll forget your goals. You'll forget your reasons, and eventually, you'll forget who you're trying to become. Don't let that happen. Don't let the world steal your focus from you. Start by cutting out one thing that doesn't serve you. Maybe it's the habit of checking your phone every 5 minutes. Maybe it's listening to people who only complain. Maybe it's saying yes to things you don't care about just to avoid guilt. Whatever it is, remove it. Protect your attention like it matters, because it does. The people who achieve meaningful things in life aren't superhuman. They're just disciplined. They decide what they're going to focus on, and they protect that focus with everything they've got. They don't let every distraction in. They don't let every voice influence them. They stay locked in. And because they stay locked in, they make progress that other people never do. You have to create boundaries, not just with people, but with your environment, with your technology, with your own impulses. Discipline isn't just about doing the work. It's also about not doing what breaks your focus. It's about training your brain to stay on task, to finish what it starts, to not jump around every time something new shows up. The ability to focus deeply is rare now, but that makes it even more powerful. If you can do what others can't, if you can sit with your work, if you can think clearly, if you can stay consistent, you will rise above. Not because you're better, but because you're more focused. And in a distracted world, focus is a competitive advantage. But don't wait for the world to make it easier for you. It won't. There will always be more distractions. There will always be something new trying to steal your attention. You've got to be the one who decides what gets in. You've got to be the one who says, no, this doesn't serve me. I've got work to do. You'll find that when your focus improves, so does everything else. Your productivity increases. Your decisions get sharper. Your results start compounding, because now you're giving your best energy to what actually matters. You're no longer wasting it on things that don't move the needle. There's peace that comes from clarity. There's power that comes from discipline. There's growth that comes from choosing silence over noise, purpose over distraction, meaning over entertainment. That's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So take control of your environment. Clean up your digital space. Get rid of the things that clutter your thinking. Set times where you work without interruption. Make it a habit to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with your goals. You'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish. And you don't have to change everything at once. Start small. 1 focused hour a day. 1 decision to stop checking notifications. 1 moment of choosing clarity over chaos. That's where it begins. That's how it builds. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. And that choice begins with your focus. So protect it. Train it. Respect it. Because your future depends on it. What you pay attention to today will shape who you become tomorrow. And if you want to multiply your success, it won't come from doing more. It'll come from doing less, with more intensity, more presence, and more purpose. Guard your mind. Guard your time. Guard your focus. Because in a noisy world, the ability to stay locked in is not just useful, it's everything. Chapter 8. Invest your time where your future will grow. Every day, you are spending your time on something. Whether you realize it or not, your future is being shaped by where your time is going right now. The hours you use today are either building your next level or keeping you exactly where you are. Time is not just passing, it's deciding. And the question is simple. Are you putting your time where your future will grow, or are you throwing it away on things that will never take you forward? Most people don't pay close attention to how they spend their time. They think a few minutes here and there don't matter, but minutes turn into hours. Hours become days. Days stack into years. And before you know it, a decade has passed and nothing has changed. Not because you didn't have potential, not because you didn't want more, but because you never became intentional with how you used your time. Your time is your most limited and valuable asset. You can't borrow it. You can't buy more of it. You can't save it for later. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that makes it more powerful than money, more powerful than talent, and more powerful than luck. How you use it will determine the results you experience in every area of your life. If your future means something to you, then how you use your time has to become serious. Not rushed, not panicked, but intentional, focused, directed. That means looking at your habits, your routines, the people you spend time with, the content you consume, the conversations you engage in. Every part of your day is either contributing to your future or pulling you away from it. Think about what you want a year from now, 5 years from now. Not just in general terms, but with clarity. What kind of health do you want? What kind of financial stability? What level of skill or knowledge? What kind of relationships? What kind of peace of mind? Now ask yourself, are your current actions aligned with that future? If someone followed you around for a full week, would they be able to tell what kind of future you're building? You don't build a better life someday. You build it daily, 1 hour at a time. The way you use your time reflects your priorities. And if your schedule is full of things that don't matter, it's not because you're too busy, it's because you haven't taken control of what you're allowing in. It's easy to say, I don't have time, but the truth is, you do. You just might be giving it away to things that give you nothing back. Entertainment that numbs you, conversations that drain you, habits that distract you. You have time. You're just spending it where it's safe, where it's easy, where it's familiar. And if you want to multiply your success, you have to break that pattern. Your time needs to be invested where your growth lives. That might mean reading when others are scrolling, learning when others are complaining, working when others are waiting. It means delaying comfort today so you can build strength for tomorrow. Not because it's trendy, but because your future deserves it. You won't always feel like doing it. That's normal, but this isn't about feelings, it's about values. Discipline doesn't wait to feel ready. It acts based on what matters. And if your growth matters, you'll start putting your time where your future will benefit from it. Time invested in your growth never goes to waste. Even if you fail, even if it takes longer than expected, because you're still becoming someone stronger, someone wiser, someone more capable. That's a return on investment that can't be taken from you. Start asking yourself better questions. Before you say yes to something, ask, does this help me move forward? Before you start your day, ask, what's the most important thing I can do today for my future? Before you waste time on something meaningless, ask, is this going to matter in a year? That kind of thinking creates direction. It creates purpose. You don't need to be busy. You need to be effective. You don't need more hours. You need better use of the ones you already have. And that begins with saying no to things that don't deserve your time anymore. That might mean fewer distractions, fewer obligations, fewer half-hearted commitments. But it also means more focus, more clarity, more results. The greatest advantage you can give yourself is to spend your time on things that make you better, not just things that feel good in the moment, but things that build your foundation, that sharpen your skills, that stretch your thinking, that strengthen your discipline. It doesn't mean you can't rest. It doesn't mean you have to grind 24/7, but it does mean that your rest is earned, that your time is respected, that you're no longer living on autopilot. You're choosing. You're leading your life instead of being led by distractions. Start blocking time in your day for growth. Time to read, time to learn, time to move your body, time to plan, time to reflect. These habits compound over time. 1 hour a day might not seem like much, but over a year, that's 365 hours invested in your future. That's how people grow quietly and suddenly look like they made a big jump, because behind the scenes they were using their time differently. You can't control everything in life, but you can control how you spend your day. That alone puts you in a position of power, because while others are waiting for conditions to improve, you're building capacity. While others are complaining, you're preparing. While others are wasting, you're investing. And the future always belongs to the prepared, not the lucky, not the loud, but the ones who took their time seriously enough to build before they needed it. That can be you, if you're willing to make some changes, if you're willing to protect your time from what no longer serves you, if you're willing to use each day as a chance to get stronger. This isn't about pressure, it's about purpose. Your life has meaning, and your time should reflect that. Don't wait until it's too late to value your hours. Don't look back one day and realize you traded your future for short-term comfort. Make the shift now. Decide today that your time is not free. It's not cheap. It's not up for grabs. It's an investment. And every hour you spend can either move you forward or pull you back. Choose the actions that build. Choose the habits that stretch. Choose the path that prepares you, not for where you are but for where you want to be, because your future is already on its way. The question is, are you building a life that's ready for it? The answer lives in your calendar, in your habits, in the small choices you make every single day. Make them count. Make them matter. Use your time where your future will grow, and keep doing it until your future walks in and thanks you for it. Chapter 9. Track your actions and adjust what is not working. Most people stay stuck, not because they lack effort, but because they never stop to check if what they're doing is actually working. They keep repeating the same actions, expecting different outcomes. They keep showing up, but without direction. They stay busy, but not productive. If you want to grow faster, succeed stronger, and live better, you must track your actions and adjust what's not getting you results. That's how progress becomes predictable. That's how effort turns into achievement. It's not enough to just work hard. Plenty of people work hard and go nowhere. You have to work smart, and working smart means being honest with yourself about what's working and what's wasting time. It means looking at your habits, your plans, your systems, and asking the uncomfortable question, is this actually helping me, or is it just keeping me busy? You can't grow in the dark. You need feedback, you need data, you need clarity. And clarity doesn't come by guessing, it comes by tracking. You track to learn. You track to notice patterns. You track so you stop lying to yourself about your discipline, your time, and your output. Most people think they're doing more than they are. But when you write it down, when you look at it honestly, the truth shows up. You don't need a complex system, you just need consistency. A notebook, a simple app, a calendar, something you check every day that tells you what actions you've taken and what results those actions are bringing. If you're not tracking your progress, then how do you know if you're improving? How do you know if you're heading in the right direction? You don't. You're guessing. And guessing is not a strategy. You want to multiply your success, then start keeping score. Not to impress anyone, not to punish yourself, but to stay accountable, to stay sharp, to stay in touch with the reality of your life. Because when you don't track, it's easy to slip. It's easy to waste hours and call it effort. It's easy to confuse motion with progress, but when you do track, everything becomes clear. You see where your time goes. You see what decisions are helping. You see what routines are breaking down. You become more in control. And once you start tracking, the next step is even more important. You adjust. You don't just collect information, you use it. You shift what needs to shift. You upgrade what needs to improve. You remove what's not working anymore. That's how you stay on course. That's how you avoid going months down a dead-end path. Too many people are afraid to change their approach because they've already invested so much time into it. But the longer you avoid adjusting, the longer you delay success. There's no shame in changing your method. There's no weakness in saying, this isn't working, I need to try something else. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. You can hold on to your pride, or you can move forward, but you can't do both. Success doesn't come from stubbornness. It comes from awareness. You need to see what your actions are producing, not just how they feel, but what they create. Are your habits giving you results? Is your routine building momentum? Is your strategy taking you closer to your goal? If not, don't wait. Don't hope it will magically get better. Fix it. Fine-tune it. Cut what's not serving you. Most people don't review their actions because it's uncomfortable. It forces them to face their own patterns. It exposes inconsistency. But growth lives in that discomfort. When you can sit with your own data, your own results, and respond with responsibility instead of emotion, you unlock a new level of power. And when you make it a habit, it becomes natural. You start to enjoy measuring your progress. You start to get addicted to seeing results stack up. You start trusting yourself more, because now you're not acting blindly. You're moving with precision. That's how real change happens, not through force but through awareness and adjustment. Every goal you've set can be broken down into daily actions. Those actions can be tracked, and those records tell you exactly what needs to be corrected. It's like driving a car. You wouldn't ignore the dashboard and hope you're going the right speed. You check. You adjust. You stay aligned. Your life is no different. You don't need to wait for a crisis to change your habits. You don't need to hit rock bottom to pay attention. You can start now, by being honest with where your time and energy are going. You might not like what you see at first, but that's good. That discomfort is where the change begins. That's where you stop being casual and start being intentional. Start by reviewing your week. What did you actually accomplish? What worked? What didn't? Where did your time go? What choices made you feel stronger? What patterns drained your focus? Write it down, study it, and then make changes. Not next month. Not when life slows down. Now, when you track and adjust, you take the guesswork out of your growth. You know why you're winning. You know what needs to improve. You stop repeating mistakes. You stop relying on hope. You start leading your life with clarity. And this practice doesn't just apply to work. It applies to everything. Your health, your finances, your relationships, your habits. Every part of your life improves when you start tracking your behavior and correcting your course. It makes you more aware, more responsible, more effective. You won't get it perfect every time. That's not the goal. The goal is progress. The goal is to become someone who's honest about what's working and bold enough to do something about what's not. That kind of mindset is rare, but that kind of mindset changes lives. So take your time seriously. Take your habits seriously. Take your results seriously. Not because you have to be perfect, but because your future depends on what you do today. You're not just living. You're building. And builders track their progress. Builders fix their systems. Builders pay attention to the details. Because the details add up. This is not about pressure, it's about power. When you track your actions, you get back your power. When you adjust what's not working, you move faster. You build smarter. You waste less. You become the kind of person who doesn't guess, they execute. Who doesn't complain, they correct. Who doesn't fear feedback, they use it. Make this a part of who you are. Not just for one season but for life. Because as long as you're growing, you'll need to keep checking your direction. You'll need to keep fine-tuning your process. That's not weakness. That's mastery. So don't just work hard. Work smart. Pay attention. Take notes. Look at what your actions are producing, and if it's not working, don't defend it. Change it. That's how you move forward with purpose. That's how you multiply your success. Not by doing more blindly, but by doing what works and doing it better every day. Chapter 10. Prove to yourself that you can do this. There will always be voices around you and inside you telling you it's not possible, that you're not ready, that you're too late, that you don't have what it takes. And those voices get loud when you're trying to do something different, when you're trying to become someone stronger, when you're aiming for something that requires more of you. But at the end of the day, you don't need to prove anything to them. You only need to prove it to yourself. That's where real power comes from. Not in convincing the world, but in building belief within yourself through action. You prove it to yourself by showing up when it would be easier to quit. You prove it by following through when no one's checking. You prove it by setting a standard and refusing to lower it just because things got uncomfortable. Every single time you follow through on something you said you'd do, you send a message to your mind that you are serious, that your words mean something, that your goals are more than wishes, that you're not backing down this time. It doesn't start with a big win. It starts with a small choice. It starts with doing one thing today that your weaker self wants to avoid. And you do it, not because you feel ready, but because you've decided. You've made the decision that enough is enough. You're done doubting yourself. You're done waiting for motivation. You're done wishing things were easier. And from that place you move. And when you move with that kind of energy, something begins to shift. Your body feels different. Your mindset starts to harden. You begin to act with more focus, with more fire. You don't need to be told what to do. You already know. You don't need to be pushed. You push yourself. That's how belief is built. That's how you stop wondering if you can do it and start proving that you already are. Nobody else can do this for you. No mentor, no program, no strategy will give you what your own discipline will. Because at the end of every day, you're the one who has to look in the mirror. You're the one who knows whether or not you gave your best. You're the one who feels the difference between pretending and becoming. And the only way to silence doubt is through consistent proof. This isn't about waiting until you feel confident. Confidence doesn't show up first. Action does. You don't get belief by thinking. You get belief by earning it. Every time you keep going after your mind says stop, you build strength. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, you build trust. And when you trust yourself, you stop questioning what's possible. You have to decide right now that this is personal. You're not doing this for recognition. You're not doing this for approval. You're doing this because you know you're capable of more. You know there's another level inside you, and the only way to reach it is to stop doubting and start proving. And proving it to yourself doesn't mean you never struggle. It means you stop quitting. It means when things get hard, you dig deeper. You don't look for shortcuts. You don't look for someone to save you. You become your own answer. You become your own reminder. You become the one who pushes through. You can't build a strong life on fragile discipline. You need to be rock solid inside. And that doesn't come from what people say about you. It comes from what you say to yourself when no one's around. It comes from the quiet victories, the early mornings, the extra reps, the moments you decide that today you will not break. That's how strength is built. Quietly, daily, relentlessly. You already have the potential. What's missing for most people is the proof. And that proof doesn't come from talking about it. It doesn't come from planning for it. It comes from putting in the work, day after day, until there's no doubt left in your mind. That's how you shift from hoping to knowing, from wondering to walking in confidence. And that confidence becomes your new identity. There will be people who don't understand your journey. That's okay. They don't need to. You're not here to convince them. You're here to become better. And becoming better is not always loud. It's not always impressive on the outside. But inside, it feels like fire, like peace, like focus, like something solid that nobody can take from you. If you've failed before, good. That means you're human. That means you're trying. But don't stop there. Failure doesn't define you, quitting does. So stop quitting. Get back up. Take another step. And prove to yourself that this time it's different. This time you're not walking away when it gets tough. This time you're staying in it. That decision alone will change everything. Start with today, not next week, not when you feel ready. Start now. Look at your actions and ask, does this align with the person I say I want to be? If the answer is no, fix it. If the answer is yes, keep going. That's how real transformation happens. Not from motivation, but from alignment. From actions that reflect your vision. And every time you push yourself when it's easier to stay comfortable, you're writing a new story. A story where you're not controlled by fear, not slowed down by self-doubt. A story where you show up day after day, with grit, with hunger, with purpose, and in time that story becomes your reality. This is not just about one goal. This is about becoming the kind of person who follows through, who rises above circumstances, who doesn't need approval to act. That person is already inside you. You just have to bring them out. And you do that by proving it. With effort, with sacrifice, with consistency. The world doesn't need another person with good intentions. It needs people who do the work. People who don't just talk about change. They live it. You can be that person. You can step into that version of yourself. But it starts with one decision. I'm going to prove to myself that I can do this. You've come too far to stop now. You've seen too much to turn back. Don't let a hard day steal your progress. Don't let a slow week convince you that you're not capable. You are. You just have to keep showing yourself that. Over and over again, until it becomes undeniable. Prove it through your effort. Prove it through your focus. Prove it through your discipline. And soon the proof will speak louder than the doubt ever did. The results will speak for themselves. And you'll look back and realize, it wasn't just about the goal. It was about who you became while chasing it. So stop asking if it's possible. Start showing yourself that it is. Not once, not for a day, but every single day. Until the proof is so clear, you don't have to say a word. You just keep moving forward, one step at a time with quiet strength and full belief. Because now you've proven it. To the only person who ever truly mattered.